Safi, karibu tena mtazamaji, hapa ni Bonita Media na kama kawaida kwa majina naitwa Boniface Owino. Na kwenye video hii mtazamaji, sitaweza kuzungumza sana, ila kitu ambacho nitafanya nitakuwekea video, nitakuwekea audio because of one or two ili usikie yale mambo ambayo yalifanyika pale Daybreak. Nilikwambia kwamba ukitaka kujua kile ambacho kimefanyika Daybreak from Monday to Friday, kama hukutazama asubuhi, unaweza ukakuja kwa sababu huwa anafanya summary of what happened. So kwa Bonita Media utapata yale mambo ambayo yalifanyika. Sasa mtazamaji, ningeanza na kusema hivi kabla sija kuchezea video nikuulize hivi ya kwamba yani Citizen TV hawana watu ambao hawana wageni wapya, watu ambao wanaweza kuwa wanaalika kila wakati ili angalau wazungumzie yale mambo ambayo yamefanyika weekend, kwa sababu umejua Monday ni kuhusiana yale mambo ambayo yamefanyika Saturday na Sunday, alafu Tuesday hivyo they cover up like everything that has happened. So nilikuwa nimejaribu kufanya a lot of investigations and a lot of inquiries na kusoma sana, na nikakuja nikagundua kitu kimoja kwamba Citizen TV they keep on bringing the same people. Like for instance, wale watu ambao wanaletwa ni wale watu ambao yani they don't talk things that should help Kenyans. Like they don't give solutions. What they do, they argue. They keep on arguing about this, blah blah blah. They keep on arguing every now and then. Kwa mfano, leo asubuhi Sam Gituku alikuwa na wageni wanne. Mtu wa kwanza alikuwa Koech. Nelson Koech, alafu akakuwa na Nyuta. Koech unajua ile ni mtu wa UDA. Alafu akakuwa na Nyuta ni senator, yule ni diehard wa Mnyoro. Akawa na Kibagendi, alafu na Fred Okongo. Sasa sina shida na Kibagendi na Fred Okongo, nina shida na hao watu wawili, Nyuta na Koech. Kwa sababu unakuja unapata kwamba what these guys normally discuss is totally different. Like kwa mfano, kuna jambo lingine hapa ambalo limesemwa na Koech. Koech anajaribu kusema kwamba sijui mambo na kiatu. You know things that don't make sense. Msemaji ningomba tusikie kwanza kile ambacho Koech anasema.
Mheshimiwa Koech, what you make of that incident in Migori?
First, Sam, allow me to start with we've had a very eventful week, and that ended on a very sad note that we lost the Member of Parliament of Kasipul, Honorable Charles Ngondowere. Allow me to use this opportunity to pass my condolences to his family. And that
I was actually going to allow you that later on as you talk about this situation of security for the leaders in Kenya.
Okay.
Can carry on.
So, on the question of what really happened yesterday, I did sleep a very worried person. Not because this is an isolated incident. Of course, you will remember that we've had such cases. In 2014, when former President Uhuru Kenyatta was in Migori, was confronted by a similar situation. We've had a situation where the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga was in Kilifi, and someone struck him with a stick. And it's happened even in the US, in advanced democracies. You saw last year, July, when there was an attempt on the life of the president now, Donald Trump. And way back when there was a shoe thrown at George W. Bush. But yesterday's incident is worrying because of what has happened. That is an affront to our democracy. It undermines our democracy. It undermines, because the head of state is the father figure. The head of state is what holds the country together. It's the face of the nation, you know. And when there's an attack, whether it was by accident or any other means whatsoever, I think we've taken a joke way too far, Sam.
Yeah.
And this has been because, and I look back at where we've come from, you know. There are times when people will not even attempt to boo a president. We've had a time in the history of this country where people will even in hushed tones be discussing the head of state. Yes. But we made that institution so casual, you know, in insults. You have young people generating AI images of a president in a coffee. You have people discussing and disparaging the president and the presidency. Look at what happened yesterday, for instance, in Wamunyoro. The deputy president, this is the second time the former deputy president is warning the president that do not attempt to come to Mlima again, since some of your people have been attacking the former president. Such words that have been used by leaders, by people around the country, someone is trying to put the words in action, and that is extremely dangerous. You can imagine if that shoe was a bullet. And we have to look at the history of other countries and people joke about the security of a president. You know, Sam, what happens in the West Africa many, many times, and you've seen assassination, and there's never peace in those countries, is because this is how it starts. You find people toying with ideas and people coming out. It took a very bold step for someone to pick their shoe and throw at the head of state. I can tell you that is not something that he thought about it at that spot. That is something that that person has contemplated for many, many times. And now he's found a right time because probably there was a bit of lapse in security and decided to throw a shoe. I want to send this warning, and this actually has to go to the team that makes arrangement for the head of state, that we must secure the head of state. Today, Sam, and people should not imagine that William Ruto is a father. William Ruto is a husband. William Ruto has a community that he comes from. You can imagine today what probably are radio stations in the Kalenjin radio stations, even though the president is a president of a country, of where he comes from. It is easy to plunge this country into chaos by very, very silly acts like what we saw yesterday. And like I was saying, what has happened even in West African countries, and you see coups and coups, is because of situations where people do not have patience. People want power very quickly. People want to get into office. People do not respect the office of the presidency because of some leaders who have come out to use very demeaning words on the head of state. We must protect the presidency. We must protect the president because that is our democracy and that is where we are as a nation. We must all condemn what happened. It was an isolated act, but a very, very unfortunate act, and it is worrying.
Aya. Alafu anaendelea na anasema kwamba Fred Matiang'i, kwa sababu niliwaambia kwamba if there is somebody who is in a better position of becoming the president of the Republic of Kenya right now as we speak, if I told maybe kuna saa election imefanywa saa hii, mtu ambaye anaweza akakuwa rais ni Matiang'i, virahisi sana. So unasikia anasema, Koech anasema kwamba kile ambacho Matiang'i anapaswa kufanya ni kwamba Matiang'i aachane na mambo na kuwa rais. Kitu angeanza na kukuwa mbunge. So okay, being that somebody started from a lower level doesn't mean that everybody should start there. People's destinies are different. I think that is how I know it, that people's destinies are completely different. So being that William Ruto started from somewhere doesn't mean that everybody should start from there. Alafu nisikia anasema kwamba William Ruto started vying for the presidency in 1992. So 1992 kwa Ruto alikuwa anataka kuwa rais. Jibu swali. Sam Gituku ameuliza la kwamba how many times have William Ruto vied for the presidency? For the word was for the presidency. Sio kwamba alikuwa na kampeni ya mtu. How many times has he vied for the presidency? Tell us once. Hiyo once alipata ama kupata. Kwanza kutuambia kwamba sijui mwaka gani alisaidia mtu mwingine. Hatutaki ile ambaye amesaidia mtu, tunataka ile ambaye yeye mwenyewe ameanza.
Right. So, Mheshimiwa Koech, you're saying that it took Mwai Kibaki how many years to be president?
From independence.
From independence to 2002. So that's nearly 40 years. Yes. What is the point there?
It is not a joke. It's not just being having a short stint.
He ran for the seat in the executive. 92, 97, and 2002. At the third run, he got it.
And I'm sure even Matiang'i was embarrassed yesterday because this is the same person. Rigiji had said that Matiang'i sent the police officers to undress him when they went to arrest him. and yesterday he was in Wamunyoro. I'm sure he was just trying to figure out how they are.
How many times did William Ruto run for presidency to win?
William Ruto started his campaigns from 1992, like the sort of campaigns for president, just campaigning for someone else, 1992. And he won elections in the year 2022. That's how many years?
No, how many times did he run for presidency? That's what
once.
William Ruto only ran for presidency once. But look at the history, he was elected. Matiang'i should just even start from being a member of parliament.
That is where
First of all, so that you know the ropes, Kibagende, just allow me space, because I allowed you.
You think
I'll give
traditional.
you. No.
It doesn't have to work.
Why is he getting so...
That is traditional thinking.
Is it the kind of anger you find in Wamunyo?
No, it is not anger.
Because the intolerance that you find
you are so traditional.
Crazy. From their own boss, you can see the anger when he's speaking.
There's no anger. I'm real. I'm a realist.
Just calm down, Kibagende, you know.
I'll get my chance to tell you.
Let me tell you another factor, okay? Assuming even today, and I still like to draw you to the year 2002 when Ford Simeon Achai ran as a candidate for Ford people. My own father-in-law, the late Kipkala Kone, supported him at that time. Let me tell you, even though he swept the entire Kisii vote, Nyachai swept the entire Kisii vote, he had 32% of the Nyanza vote. And Raila and Kibaki had 62% of that vote. So if you are looking at mathematics of doing politics, this is how to do politics to fail. Mm-hmm. And this is not the politics of winning. And you know, Kalonzo is a career number 2 in any election. So he's permanently a deputy.
What does that even mean? This career number 2, what is that?
He's a career... He sits there to be nominated to be the running mate. He never goes for the presidency. He's just there to up his stakes, but he will never run. Now, the biggest problem that you will see shortly is egos. Because who is going to run for presidency? Matiang'i has a very huge ego, and he will not accept to deputize Rigiji or Kalonzo. Kalonzo has deputized from when I knew him running. Will he accept again to deputize Matiang'i? So all these that you are seeing now is kupimana akili.
What if they do?
The chips will fall.
What if they agree?
What if they agree?
But there can only be one candidate to run.
Yes.
I'm asking, what if they agree?
If they agree on who?
Yeah.
At that point is when we'll discuss. And I can even show you. Okay. Assuming today they agree on, let me give you a scenario. Assuming they agree on Kalonzo, for instance, okay? I can tell you the next day Wamunyoro will run away.
Now,
I can tell you the next day Matiang'i will run away.
Why?
Because they know they will not win. How will you win a national election when you are going to mobilize some yourselves on tribal cocoons and want to make a stab on a serious national election? Okay. What will be the rallying call? And Kalonzo is
just to fix this country.
Fatigue is checking in on the eyes of many people, seeing Kalonzo perpetually running and not winning. People are tired.
So ukijaribu kutuambia kwamba Fred Matiang'i cannot be president kwa sababu Ruto alianza kuvai for the president in 1992 kile ambacho alikuwa anasaidia watu wengine, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up. Shalewa, all these things that these guys normally say, they don't really add up.
Senator John Yoto joins us, Senator of Murang'a. Good morning.
Good morning, Sam.
Yeah, we were talking about an incident yesterday about the security of the president, but now also the member of parliament that the country lost, Charles Ong'ondo Were. I don't know if you have thoughts about this.
Thank you, Sam. And sorry, I got caught up somewhere. But I was following online, and I also joined my colleagues in condemning that incident, the shoe throwing incident at the president. And of course, I agree with all of them that the president is the symbol of unity for the country, and anything happening to him then would affect the nation in a big way. And we pray that such an incident does not happen again. However, Sam, even as I say that, even as we talk about the security of the president, I think it's also important for us to say that the president also needs to reduce car roof appearances because of course the security, you know, when the president, his security, when he's on Karuf, of course I believe, although I'm not a security, I don't have a security background, I believe that it makes it very complicated even for his security to ensure that he's secure from, you know, from these crowds and anybody, any ill intentioned person that may be amongst the crowds. And so I think it's important, like I've said, that he reduces his Karuf appearances, stick to the office, work, develop policies, you know, so that we feel him through through implementation of projects and, you know, the ideas that are brought to him by his very many advisors, and not through Karufs. I also had, I listened to my brother Nelson Koech say that, you know, people or imply that people do not, are not like, they are not like respecting this presidency the way it has been respected before. But I think we also have challenges. I think the president also needs to work on this. And I don't blame him, but he needs to work on it, because when you see the president leading the song Kasungu somewhere in Dagoretti, and, you know, you also, the seriousness of that office, you know, the stature of that office also gets affected.
What do you think he should do when people are making fun of him with that song and name? What
I think other people, some, in my view, other people, you know, his soldiers, people like Koech here, can deal with that. It should not be the president dealing with it direct, because when you are leading Kasungu in front of the crowds, then those crowds start believing or thinking that the president is just another person, and so even when you throw a shoe at him, I mean, it's that body that leads some song in the streets, and so, you know, the stature of the president.
Throwing a shoe at whoever is such an insult, isn't it?
No, I agree totally, Sam, and I have condemned it with the strongest terms possible. But what I'm saying is the stature of the president also. The president has a responsibility to ensure that the respect, the stature of that office is maintained. And through the many things that he does. Of course, we know that President Ruto is a very sociable person, and even when he was campaigning, he was spotted stopping his motorcade to just buy some roast maize somewhere to show how connected he was with the common man. It could have been, you know, just a scheme, but then I think he needs to know that now he's president and must start behaving like the president. And some allow me also to say, I had Nelson Koech, I don't know why I keep calling him Koril, say that Riggy G yesterday threatened the president and they wanted him not to visit the mountain. I was in that meeting. Riggy G did not tell the president not to come to the mountain. He only said that if the president's brigade, and Kibagedi was there, he can tell you, if the president's brigade continue insulting President Kenyatta, Uhuru Kenyatta, that he would also instruct the people of Mount Kenya when President Ruto visits there to also insult him, because tit for tat is a fair game. So he did not at any particular moment.
I know you're quoting him, but how does that help the country?
No, it helps the country. I mean, a tit for tat is a fair game. When you send people... No, you know, the responsibility of helping the country, some, should not just lie with Rigathi Gachagua. The first person that must ensure that the country is helped, so to say, is the president, who has the mandate of Kenyans. And so if the president's men...
When
allow me to finish this statement, Sam.
Who is not a president, by the way.
Yes.
When his foot soldiers are instructed to respond with insults to the president and his brigade, how does that help?
It will help stop somebody thinking that they have the monopoly of insults. That's how it will help. And ultimately stop insults against President Kenyatta. Okay. So, you know, it is toe for a toe, eye for an eye, Sam. And if that works to stop...
Is that the politics you want to...
No. You know, Sam, what I'm saying, Sam, is you're asking how it will help the country. It will help the country in ensuring that insults to the former president stop, because that is the only way it can stop. So that is how it will help the country, in my view.
All right, surely.
So allow me to mention something about Ongondo Were.
Let's take a short break.
Okay.
But I don't think that is a fair game. Toe for a toe, eye for an eye.
It's a Bible psalm. You can read the Old Testament.
We're in politics now. It can be misinterpreted in so many ways. We take a shot.
Sasa ningependa kuuliza hivi mtazamaji. Kabla ya kukupa nafasi kwenye sehemu ya maoni. Wewe mwenyewe unasikia hao watu jinsi ambavyo the way they argue, yale mambo ambayo wanayasema, sijui nini tralala. What do you think? Like, what do you say? Kwa sababu the more we keep on, I think the more we keep on listening to these people, the more we Kenyans tunazidi kuumia. Like, unaona tu vizuri huyu mtu, hawa ndio wale watu ambao wanachochea, wanafanya wananchi wanakuwa na mauchungu, wanakuwa na uchungu ndani yao ya kwamba why are these people telling us this? Why are they doing this? Why can't they do this way? Ushaelewa? And the more they drive Kenyans into this thing, the more Kenyans become furious. The more Kenyans become furious na the more Kenyans wanakuwa na mauchungu. So sielewi, sijui maoni yako ni gani. Ningependa nikupe nafasi kwenye sehemu ya maoni mtazamaji. Wewe mwenyewe uniambie maoni yako ni gani kutokana na hayo mambo ambayo umesikia kutoka Citizen TV, au watu kuargue kina Nyota, sijui kina Koech. Na huyu Koech, I don't think I'm really failing to understand. That is why nimeanza na kuuliza, why are these people giving people like Koech a platform every now and then? Watu kama kina Koech hata hawapasi kupewa na nafasi wazungumza na wananchi. Nisikie maoni yako kwenye maoni mtazamaji.